Hey guys, it's Amy, your life and business coach, and today I've got a special treat for you. It is a tour of my professional organizing bag, all the tools that I use when I'm either organizing my own home, helping family, or when I was in my professional organizing days, helping clients. And so if you're trying to figure out what to put in your bag as a professional organizer, like what things should I buy, you want to watch this. If you're also trying to do this in your own home, some of these things might surprise you. You already have them, but the way you use them to organize your home, maybe you're just not thinking about. So I'm going to walk you through that too. So let's get started. So this bag is my Becker Method certification bag. I am a Joshua Becker certified professional organizer. He's the author of Becoming Minimalist. And so the bag is, let's start with the outside. So there's a few obvious things here. There's some Sharpies, my favorite color, and black. So I've got purple and black. On the side, I have tried and true Goo Gone. This will get sticky stuff, labels off of anything. So if I were setting up new bins and I wanted to get the sticky label off and it didn't come off easily, I also use this to take the labels off of jars. So I'll reuse glass jars in my home quite a bit. I also have a container of WD-40, like a squeaky door, a squeaky hinge. It's super easy to fix it, and just a game changer sometimes for my clients, where it's like, gosh, that hinge has been squeaky for months. So it's a really simple thing to carry. I also have a level if we're adjusting shelf height, or if we're rehanging pictures, just to make sure that everything is level. I do keep a trash bag here in the corner. Most of the time, what I suggest to my organizers is that you have your clients provide the trash bags, but I always like to just have one or two here in my bag as on an emergency basis. And then on the other side, there is another pocket, and this is where I have an all-purpose cleaner. This is an alcohol-based, alcohol, water, and essential oil, and a squirted dish soap. So it's very gentle. It'll work on just about every surface, so I always take it with me. And then it appears as though there's a few rogue zip ties on the outside, which should be inside the bag. So let's go look there next. All right, so inside the bag, I have, first up, my label maker. This is my favorite. It's the Dymo. They do not sell this shape anymore, so I love this thing, but you can find a slightly different version of it. It's actually more vertical, and this works great. The tape goes in the back. You need batteries for it, and those are in here too, so we'll get to that shortly. Okay, a few things. So I love these bags. Okay, you're gonna see why. These bags are zipper, and previously that bag, like everything just sort of went to the bottom and I wasn't sure where anything was. So I put everything in these bags and I labeled them. So I have painter's tape and I have wall mounting tape. It's like a double stick tape that you can use for not super heavy things, but is a double stick wall mounting tape. I've used it for magnetic strips. If we were putting those in a home office, it works really well on that. So painter's tape is like my go-to. Painter's tape you can use as like temporary labeling. You can use it to identify items that are for donation. So once a client has made a decision, you can just stick a piece of painter's tape on it and say, okay, these 3 pieces of furniture are going to be leaving whenever the company comes to pick stuff up. So if I used an outside junk hauler, that's what painter's tape is great for. Honestly, I use painter's tape for so many things. It doesn't stick, it doesn't leave a residue. So it's just a great item to have on hand. I use it to label Tupperware containers as well in the fridge to let everyone know what's in there. I use it to label freezer meals so we can clearly see what is in the freezer and what that item is, so you're not left guessing, or worse yet, it goes bad and doesn't get used. So painter's tape, top 10 on my tools. All right, next up, I have shipping tape and magnetic tape. So if you are trying to magnetize something, so sometimes a garage door, obviously a fridge, if you want to mount something to a magnetic surface, this magnetic tape, I use this less, but it's great. Shipping tape I tend to use to kind of fix a box, a game box, or a puzzle, like reinforce a box that has seen better days, but it's a well-loved board game, and so shipping tape is really good for that. All right, next up, some tools, true tools. I have a hammer, I have pliers, I have needle nose pliers, and I have a measuring tape. you're always gonna need a measuring tape, like 100% of the time. And then I've got this pack of pens, Sharpies, and notebooks. And so if we're making a list, I often make a do not buy list for my clients. So if we're in the kitchen and they have too many boxes of tea, which is super common, I will write them a do not buy list. And so having that handy, and then there's just some backup Sharpies in here and a highlighter. I also have index cards. Index cards are a little sturdier. If it's something that is a more permanent list, if you will, it's something I want to make sure I hand off to them and say, hey, here's your homework. An index card is less likely to get lost than a single piece of paper. It's just a mindset shift. Okay. Also, I have mini envelopes and mini bags. These are mini paper envelopes, and I'm out of my mini Ziploc bags, but they would be about the same size. They're about 1 inch by 2 inches. And what I use those mini bags for is if we're sorting jewelry, if we're sorting smaller items in a craft room, they can work really well for that. Okay, this is also in my top 10, rubber bands. Okay, rubber bands, I probably pick up a rubber band every other day in my own home, whether it is to corral index cards, whether it is loose things in a drawer, maybe loose pencils, a group of colored pencils, a group of colored markers. I think that once you start to see rubber bands differently, which is what I do, I use them all the time. I have used them to corral like the chopsticks in a drawer. So if you don't have those nice drawer dividers, that's okay. A rubber band will serve you really, really well. I also use it with, if we have a bag of chips that are open, I will use clothespins on that, but you can also just put a rubber band around a bag. And what's nice is it folds over the side. And so it will make a bag in your pantry like smaller and more manageable and more contained. And then you can stack them like bookends. So rubber bands, absolutely in my top 10. Okay, I also have a different label maker, and this is where the tape is. So I've got the extra tape, I've got the extra batteries, and I have a label maker that connects to an app on my phone. It just makes slightly fancier labels. It is not necessarily better. I don't think you need 2 label makers. As a professional organizer, sometimes I wanted to up level what the labels looked like with a particular client. And this one is, I'm not even sure what the name of it is, but it's small, looks almost like a mini typewriter, and it connects to an app. So you do all the typing in the app and then print from the device itself. Okay, command hooks. Absolutely. Command hooks, you're going to find a use for. I mean, we could talk about that for an hour, so I won't. But I do have command hooks. I do tend to like the 5 to, I think they sell a 7 pound. I like the heavier ones because I find much more use for the heavier ones. So in a bathroom, even if there isn't a hook for the bath mat, just getting that up off the floor is really nice. If there's not a hook in a closet for belts, we can just add one of those. In a hall closet, if there's not a hook for a bag or scarves or something like that. So you can add a command hook in a lot of places, and it can just really change things. It allows you to use vertical storage for your clients in their home. So that's that one. Okay, this is fun. Binder clips, clothespins. So obviously binder clips, you're gonna find a lot of use for that with paper in a home office. I also have clothespins. Those I'll use for chip bags. Sometimes it's a smaller bag of snacks. I want a smaller binder clip. I don't want a huge clothespin. It's all very size dependent. And so having both of these as an option, again, this is probably top 10 as well. In my home, I use these on a regular basis. It's how I keep my pantry neat. It's how I keep those bags kind of under control, that they have a clip that goes back on them very easily. And having a few options, you can choose what really is going to serve the particular item that you're trying to corral. All right. Scissors and utility knife blades. Okay, so this, I'm going to show you these. My utility knife is upstairs. It is in my drawer, and I don't have it for you, which is a shame. I like the Olfa, O-L-F-A, and I'll put a link in the description of this video to some of these products so that you can go get them. The utility knife that I choose to use is a game changer. I actually send this specific link for this utility knife. It's not just a box cutter. These are the replacement blades. I have one I really like. It's called Olfa, and I will link it in the description. You will love it too, I promise. All of my clients have loved it. I have 2 pair of scissors. These are a heavier pair of scissors they're meant to cut wire, not maybe cut a penny or anything like that, but they're meant to cut wire. And then these are just like nice sharp scissors. So all of those are in this bag, and we're getting to the end. I'm almost there. Okay, zip ties and cable ties. And so you're like, Amy, what's the difference? All right, so cable ties look like this. They're Velcro. This is when you want a temporary or potentially movable situation. So maybe it is a cord that will eventually need to shift or move. Cable ties are going to be when something is more permanent. Like you don't want anyone to move that lamp. You want the lamp and the cord to stay out of sight. Maybe you're really trying to neaten up a cord situation behind a television. So that's how I want you to think of the difference. The cable ties are more temporary and dynamic and movable. The zip ties are permanent, and that's a good thing. Like you're trying to keep something in place. All right, I'll pick that up later. I know you all saw me drop it. So I keep the adhesive separate. And then these are moving labels. So these are at the bottom of my bag because they are less often used. And so I do tend to load the bag based on things that are less or more often. We started with the label maker. I go get that pretty often. The rubber bands are something I go and get pretty often. So moving labels, this is when we're trying to identify the future state. And as I'm helping a client to pack boxes and bags and things like that, I would like to put dots, these colored dots, onto the boxes. So we might say that the kitchen is red and the living room is green and the master bedroom is yellow and the basement is blue. And so what that does is we still label it with basement, kitchen, and what have you, but the visual is what allows you to quickly identify a box and say, oh, that's going in the basement. And when you have people helping you, when you have movers helping you, you can say, hey, the blue boxes go in the basement. And so they don't even have to read the box. They just know. So it's about getting the things where they belong when you're doing a move. Okay, I think that's it, my friends. Oh, last thing. This is my cleaning cloth, my microfiber cloth that goes with my cleaning solution. And so that is in the front pocket. So that's it. I would love to know of the things I've talked about, like what's your favorite? What things do you use in your organizing bag? And if you want to talk more about this, either organizing tools in your home or how to get started with your organizing business, or maybe it's just not where you want it to be, will you drop me a comment? I'll put a link in the description where you can schedule time with me. I would be happy to talk about your business, and maybe you'll teach me a thing or two and tell me something that I'm forgetting in my organizing bag. All right, friends, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.